Hello everybody and welcome to episode 18 of Overly Honest Dads. This is the parenting podcast that aims to give you an honest look at what fatherhood is really like, primarily because we tell you far more than we ever should. My name's Matt and I'm your host, and I'm joined as ever by my podcast pals Magnus.
Hi everyone.
And John.
Hello, hello.
How are we doing?
Yeah, not bad.
Sexual.
Awesome. So today, sexual?
Yeah, I'm feeling sexual, man. I'm with you guys.
I'm worried. So today we've got another segment episode. So the running order for today's episode is we're going to start with dad news, as ever, and then we're going to go on to a product review that Magnus has prepared. Magnus, what are you going to be reviewing today?
I'm going to be reviewing the Works Cube Vac.
A vacuum cleaner.
It is a vacuum cleaner.
I'm expecting a very exciting review. And then we're going to move on to episode 3 of the Netflix documentary Babies. This episode focuses on crawling and movement in general for babies. And we're going to round things off with a round of Am I Being Unreasonable, where we look at some posts on Mumsnet and decide if the poster is being reasonable or not. So a fun-packed episode, I'm sure you agree. So John is going to kick us off with some dad news. So John, take it away.
Yes, so I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey of sort of a few things that have happened to me that have sort of come to a completion this week. So bit of a weird story, walking home from work quite late in the city in London, I accidentally stepped on something on the floor. I turn around, I look. It was a bird with a broken wing.
So this was in the last few days, was it?
No, this was about, this was about before lockdown. So you're talking about 4 months ago, roughly.
Yeah. So you stepped on the bird.
But the wing was already broken, but I felt really bad. It was a baby seagull. And I'm like, oh, poor little thing. So basically what I did is I actually stood there, called the RSPCA, put a box around and waited around for someone to come and pick it up. And it took about an hour and a half. But I felt so bad for this bird. So yeah, so protected it, did all the rest of it. Now, the other part is at home, we live in London. Not everyone would know this, but in London, there's a lot of foxes. They're a bit shitty with the rubbish. Mm-hmm. It's quite annoying. They break into your rubbish and they eat through it and make a mess. Mm-hmm. So I've ended up building this thing to try and protect it. So we got like kind of a cage, and I built onto the cage underneath it so to make sure the foxes can't get in and all the rest of it. And the only thing that's exposed to the environment is cardboard and plastic. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Nothing else. And it's been safe from foxes. And then recently, fucking seagull went at the pizza boxes, because there was like, I literally come outside and a fucking seagull flies away and makes a mess of all the pizza boxes that were in the paper. I'm like, motherfucker, tried to save one of you fuckers like a little while ago, and look what you're doing.
Well, so do you think the seagulls would have known that you looked after one of them?
I took it personally, to be honest. I think they know. They talk to each other, you know.
They obviously do.
Okay.
You know,
they text
seagull
each
whispers. Seagull whispers. Mm-hmm. And it really annoyed me.
Seagulls, they're kind of pricks, though, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're pricks. The big shits, which I've never been, never been a victim of.
Yeah.
But I really protected that. But an hour and a half of my evening where I could have been home with my kids, I spent it trying to save this baby seagull. And I bet it was the same fucker that came to my bins.
Well, I'm not too sure that's how altruism works. If you did your part, then it may be best to just forget about it and not expect anything.
I'm Italian, man. There's vengeance involved when you mess with me and my stuff. So yeah, and I'm like, and after that, I'm like, lockdown changed me.
Go on. What's your news, Magnus?
So my news is that it's very basic. Quid is saying some more words, and it's like it's really really cute. So she was saying some of the same words that she's saying now last week, but it wasn't as refined. Mm-hmm. So for example, she's now saying cow.
Oh, that's
cute. Deer, turtle,
no, turtle,
ball, and every ball or circle shape she sees, it's a ball to her, which is wrong, but it's cute. It's good, but she needs to know it's wrong. Yeah,
you're fucking wrong. Shut up, child.
She's also saying daddy, like long, like a real with gusto, daddy and mummy, and she means it. Like I'm daddy, mummy's mummy. You know, we've got that distinction now. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. Yesterday, however, randomly at, I think, like 1 a.m, she woke up. Bear in mind, she'd never done this before. She woke up and she stayed up for 3 to 4 hours. And she was
Califragilisticexpialitosis. No, she didn't wake up saying that, did she?
No, but she may have been. Yeah. She was trying out all kinds of vowels and consonants and new words. And it was weird. Romy got the sofa pillows and just slapped them on the floor and laid herself out. And Quinn was like babbling away. She's like, yes, dear. Yes,
Oh,
dear. You carry on. So, yeah, that was interesting. That's my dad news.
Okay. And it's probably worth pointing out to listeners that there's not been a big gap since we last recorded. It's the shortest gap we've ever had between recording sessions because our last one was on last Saturday and this is a Wednesday. So there's only been 4 days for us to accumulate dad news, which isn't that much, especially during lockdown, which we can't still kind of in. So for me, it's just been based around the sort of what I was talking about last week, which was Emily started at a new nursery and she's really settled in now. So last Friday when she went there, when Alex handed her over, she cried and she wasn't very happy. But today she went over really happily and I went to pick her up today and I could see two of the people that work at the nursery came to the door and one of them, well, both of them really just had so much sort of love in their eyes for Emily. Like already I can tell that she's bonded with them and she seemed really happy as well. Emily did when she came out. So that just inspires a bit of confidence because when you do put your kid into some kind of daycare, there's definitely an adjustment period and it's awful handing your kid over and watching them be upset about it. And I remember Emily reaching out to me when we first put her in nursery last year, like when your daughter's just reaching out to try and get you and you've got to just get out of there as soon as you can. It's a little bit heartbreaking and it's a lot easier once they enjoy it and you can tell that they're happy. It makes you feel a lot better. And not having to balance work and childcare is amazing.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine.
It's just, I feel so much more relaxed than I have done since March of this year, really. For the last 4 months, I feel far more relaxed than any time in the last 4 months. And that is a nice thing to have. So that rounds up dad news. So as we do, we'll take a quick break now and we'll be back in a moment to hear Magnus review a vacuum. Please don't stop listening. Please come back. It will be worth it. I promise. Magnus will make this really interesting. I promise you. Don't turn off. We'll see you in a moment. Welcome back to Overly Honest Dads. So Magnus has a product review for us. He is reviewing a vacuum cleaner, but knowing Magnus, I know this must be some kind of super special, amazing, innovative product. So Magnus, why don't you tell us all about this product, this vacuum cleaner?
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for setting up that premise and just qualifying that, yes, I don't every day review a vacuum cleaner or even feel the inclination to do so, but this is a fucking good vacuum cleaner. It's the Works Cube Vac. It came out this year. Have you guys heard of it before? You probably heard of it from me.
Yes.
You said it about 17 times.
Yeah, I know. I really do like it.
But the dear listeners need to hear the story.
Indeed. Right. So I'm part of the Works PowerShare family, which is some bullshit for you have too many of their products and they share the same batteries.
Okay.
So I've got loads of Works products, and the reason why
Works a manufacturer.
Yeah, Works. So WORX. They're kind of like a mid-range, good quality DIY, okay quality professional brand, fairly good value for money. Some of their brushless things are.
I have a drill.
Yeah,
really good. I've had it for 10 years. It's really good.
They are really, really good. However, they're quite affordable as well. It's not in the same league as Makita or DeWalt. You know, not at all. You're unlikely to find it on a building site, but their DIY stuff is fantastic. So they have a vacuum cleaner that they came out with this year. I was very excited for it because it shared the batteries that I use for my tools. And it's this tiny little vacuum cleaner. It's the shape of a cube. That's the name of it, the Works Cube Vac. And really, really small, and it's surprisingly powerful. Which, took me aback. Because you'll find that the portable vacuum cleaners on the market, unless they're really expensive, like a Dyson, just don't suck very well.
So it's a portable vacuum cleaner we're talking about here?
It is, yeah. It's completely portable. It's one that you could fit under the buggy, in the carry cot under the buggy, in the back of the car. To give you an idea, it's probably about 7 to 8 inches per side.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really quite small. It slots in a battery and it just fits in and it's nice and flush. And it's got an extendable hose like a normal vacuum cleaner hose that has a magnetic buckle on the side. And
sweet.
Yeah, so it just clips
You
on.
never told me that. That sounds pretty neat.
It's got all these awesome little quirks. Where the battery fits has the outlet. John, farting while I'm having a review. Yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
Throwing me off. I should have brought the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. So how much is it, Magnus? How much did you pay for it?
So I bought it without batteries. You can get it like they call it bare or with batteries.
Okay.
So without batteries, I paid £50.
Okay.
Yeah, $49.99.
Where did you buy it from?
I got it from Amazon.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay.
You can get it with batteries, and I think Amazon does it with 1 or 2 batteries. For one battery, it costs between $89 to $99. Depends on the day.
That's not bad. Okay.
No, it's really not bad at all.
Okay.
Now, in terms of how long it lasts with one battery, it has 2 settings. So it's got high and a low. Low is more than enough. High is really quite powerful.
So to clean the car, is that decent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So why don't you run us through
25
some of the
minutes.
positives of this product?
So positives, it's small. The battery life is fantastic. You can almost forget about it. Yeah. It has 2 accessories, like an extendable pole for going into corners and a brush that slot neatly into the device. Yeah, and they just fall in. The hose is maybe about 3 feet in length. So even though it's a compact unit, it will surprise you with how much reach you have. And it's quite easy to clean, which is important if you're going to be cleaning up baby shit and food that's falling
Well,
on
not
the floor.
literal
Well,
baby shit.
if you're John.
What better than eating it?
Okay. So there's positives. Would you say there are any negatives to the product?
Negatives, because the hose is telescopic, it's like that ringlet kind of design that you get with all vacuums. If you are going to be using it for primarily baby stuff like I do, then it can get a bit dirty. So you need to buy a specialist brush to clean it, but that's only like £3-4. Yeah. The availability of parts.
Okay.
So a new filter. There aren't any at the minute, but Works have said that there will be one. It's bagless.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's only the filter that you need to clean, and that's very easy. Honestly speaking, Matt, there aren't many negatives for me.
Okay, great. And what would you say is the value for money on there?
Well, if you compare it to other similar products, they don't even come close. It's fantastic for the price. The suction is what you really want, and for that price range, for £50.
That's
or
not bad,
even
yeah.
£90.
Well, Overly Honest Dads endorses powerful suction. I think that's fair to say.
We do.
Yeah,
we do. It sucks really well.
Okay. Would you say this is an essential product or just nice to have?
Well, we use it 4, 5, 6 times a day.
Oh, wow.
So it's essential for us.
Gets a lot. It gets heavy usage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very,
Okay.
very, very heavy usage.
Okay. Great. So give us your overall verdict and end it with a mark out of 10.
So my overall verdict is that this is a really well-designed piece of kit. They've thought of more or less everything. They've cornered the market in terms of portable vacuum cleaners for sure. They made a very affordable portable device that appears to be quite reliable, lasts a long time, and also meets expectations. I give it pretty much a solid 8.5, if not 9 out of 10.
Actually, with the things you're saying, I'm hearing 9 out of 10 from what you're saying.
Yeah, it's nearly spot on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Magnus, thank you for your review. And yeah, if anyone out there feels inspired to buy this product, please do let us know. You can email us at overlyhonestdads@gmail.com, and keep us updated on your purchasing, and how it went for you. So thanks, Magnus, for that. We're going to take another very quick break. And when we come back, it's our overview / review of Babies episode 3. So join us for that in just a second. Welcome back to this lovely episode of Overly Honest Dads. We're going to be reviewing / overviewing episode 3 of the Netflix documentary entitled Babies. Simply titled Babies. And this episode is all about crawling and movement in general. So let's get on with the recap. So we start out rather predictably with some babies crawling around. And then we fairly quickly see a baby trying to crawl up some steps. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that was really like in the first minute or two, bit dangerous.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just letting the baby do it, for the TV.
Yeah, there's a kid, but there's a parent sort of kind of behind, but not close enough behind for me not to worry.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but Emily occasionally crawls up the steps, but we're right behind her with our hands inches away from her, like literal inches away. Because we kind of feel it's fine to let her explore a little bit, but as long as someone is there to catch her the moment anything goes wrong. On this Netflix show, they didn't give a shit.
No. Anything for TV, baby.
Yeah, so they let the baby crawl up the stairs. And then we have a woman who tries to say that crawling might be more than a stage. So essentially, that crawling isn't just a step on the way to walking, that it's fundamental to how we move. And that's sort of the premise that they set up at the start of this episode. Fairly quickly, we move on to meeting a baby named Pasco in London. And Pasco is doing tummy time. I think in this situation, the father is the one that's staying home and the mother's going out to work, and they have a little interview with the mother, and it seems that she's a bit jealous of the fact that she's not at home. Yep. That's not really relevant to the episode overall, but that's...
Couldn't care, give a shit. It's your choice. We don't care.
Well,
nothing to do with the episode. With
bit
regards
harsh.
to crawling.
That is a bit harsh.
Bit harsh, John.
I think the show gets on my nerves, and that's probably why I react this way.
I appreciate the contribution. It's just a bit harsh.
Yeah, bit harsh. Then we jump to Paris, and there's a motor development expert. This is one of 3 experts that we encounter in the show. I can't remember the expert's name. I didn't write it down. But
Habdul.
Pardon?
Huh?
Habdul.
That makes no sense.
Just anything now. I'm just going to that word.
Okay. Well, the expert thinks that crawling is mysterious. She loves crawling. She's almost as passionate about crawling as the breast milk woman was in episode 2.
This is less creepy, though, I have to say. The breast milk lady kind of creeped me out.
There was close-ups of her grinning again. It's just
I know.
This shit?
Yeah, it is a bit strange. But anyway, she thinks of newborn babies as astronauts returning from space. That in the womb they could move around, but once they're born, they're restricted by gravity. As we all are. And she claims that one hour after birth, while doing skin to skin, babies can kind of move themselves towards the boob. Which is maybe more movement capability than we give newborn babies credit for. Mm-hmm. Which, that in itself is quite special.
I agree. We all have experience in that.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing to see the connection form between newborns and mothers in those early stages, and perhaps that's one example that's not been focused on enough. And she also focuses on the fact that babies can crawl in water. So if you hold them in water, they'll do crawling motions. Mm-hmm. And is there a connection between these early movements and eventual crawling that will occur around 8 to 10 months. So this is sort of the setup. And then we start off, we go back, to some baby brain experiments, which is a theme of this show of just generally experimenting on babies, using babies as tools to demonstrate whatever point these experts have. Do you guys feel it's a bit cruel at this point, the amount of babies we see experimented on?
Yeah, well, that one in particular, episode 3, they really went to town on that.
Yeah,
that fucking skateboard.
We'll get to that. The crawly skate. I think you'll find.
Crawly skate.
Fuck that shit.
The crawly skate.
Crawly skate. It's the enfoncé. Encore. Anyway, so they try and make the babies think that they're moving using a surface with black dots moving beneath them. So imagine sort of the floor has black dots moving forward to back, and they hold the baby above it. So the ground looks like it's moving, and they try and see how the baby reacts to that. And what happens is they move their arms and feet in almost like a sort of swimming motion, essentially. Yeah. That's what happens. Around this point, we meet another baby called Helmy. They're trying to find a way to let newborns...
Sorry, what was the name? I missed that.
Helmy.
Help me.
Helmy.
No, Helmy, because they put her on a skateboard. She should be wearing a helmet. That's why.
Oh no, the baby's like, help me. So they're trying to. So essentially, the researchers, the experts, are trying to find a way to let newborn babies move, despite the freakish weight of their large heads. Because when newborns are newborn, they have huge heads, and that's essentially what's restricting their movement.
They said that their heads are 1/3.
Of their weight.
Of course, it's the bone and the brain. It's the bone and the brain. It's not the big head. head. There's the bones
It's
in
the
the
bone.
skull, and the brain is heavy.
The soft, squishy bone.
Yeah.
Because babies, like newborn babies, are like impossibly stupid. So it can't be the fucking brain. Like they're so fucking thick. Like no, guys, I'm sorry. Look, well, I know what. You know.
I know.
This
I know.
episode was just like a visual representation of the mediocrity of human infants compared to any other.
I mean,
I'm
any
going
other
off on a
animal,
tangent.
any
No.
other animal can just like get up and
It's
kind
just-
of
they're
wobble
so
away.
stupid. Anyway,
Anyway, so they can't lift their heads, so they can't really move. So in order to do the experiments, they invent a mini baby skateboard that they call a crawly skate.
And you got to wear a helmet to go on it.
skate.
A crawly skate.
It's an
crawly
unusual
skate.
punishment.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
So essentially, it's a surface. It's a little skateboard that the baby goes on sort of face down, and
Which is
and
horrible to look at.
The arms and legs can move around and propel the baby.
Well, it was just the legs.
Yeah, it was
It
just
was
the
just
legs,
the legs,
moving.
So
yeah.
the arms
That
were
baby
strapped.
was crying so much. It
was.
really pissed me off.
Yeah,
it really did.
And so they attach the baby to the crawly skate, and the baby starts to propel itself with its legs. I think mostly to get away from the woman that was doing the research that was placed behind the baby. I think it's just a fight or flight reaction.
I want to run away
Yeah, it's like,
from the weird lady.
oh no, get me away from this crazy woman.
Is it Dalmatians lady? She's chasing me.
She's
Jesus Christ.
Get me to the brie.
mad. So
Pinot Noir.
what?
I don't know.
Pinot Noir.
Yeah, fuck knows.
Okay. So yeah, and the babies. I wrote down, and more babies crying in the name of science.
It's
which-
horrible. I mean, it's such a horrible bloody thing. I can't stand it. The skateboard thing, there's no fucking need for it. Baby face down. Like, don't do that. It's hard. The baby, you as a parent are a disgrace
It's
for doing
science, John. It's
that. But
science.
there's
It's
no
like-
need for the skateboard.
Like,
We
come
know
on.
they move their legs. I don't need to put
Well,
a face down on a skateboard.
This isn't hard, John. It's
She
not,
wasn't wearing a helmet.
It's not hard.
So apparently, like the reason for this research is that in the past, the consensus among interested folks was that humans were only bipeds, so they only just walked on 2 feet. And the research shows that that's not the case, and that humans from the point of being born are capable of moving in different ways from just walking. And then we get some parkour to back that up, up that humans don't just walk, that they also use their hands. Now, I'm a bit confused because if the point of this research was to say that humans don't just walk, why don't I see more people crawling on the street? Why aren't more people getting around using things other than their legs?
Well, I think that's beyond the scope of the show. Maybe if we were to go into it, it would indicate that crawling is... is for John.
That gets cut out.
That crawling...
Edit. There.
Are we editing this?
Yeah, we're editing the Timmy.
Timmy.
Hey, his fault, not mine.
Where did we get to? Because we need a clean cut. I was just going to crack on, but it's fucking Timmy. It actually makes me laugh.
Okay, so I can pick back up. I can just go back to the parkour bit.
Yeah, go parkour.
Okay. So then we get some parkour to demonstrate that people do move around using their arms from time to time. But I'm a little bit confused because when I'm out and about in the world, which, does happen now that lockdown is a little bit eased, I don't see people crawling or using their hands to get about. And so I'm not sure the value of this research. I really don't see the value of it.
Well, I think this is potentially beyond the scope of the show, and it may be the case that crawling is potentially vestigial of the times that we were on 4 legs and bipedal, but this is going back millions and millions and millions of years.
Yeah, and so therefore, what value does this research hold other than
Who knows?
allowing someone to appear on a Netflix show and look all smug?
I think they got signed for too many episodes and they needed to add some shit in there.
Okay. Then I think we're all a bit down on this research, and in general, the what's it called? The crawly skate is a bunch of bullshit.
Well,
It's not just that. It's
horrible.
horrible. It's torture. I mean, I don't like it. There's no need for the crawl escape.
Yeah,
There really isn't.
there isn't. So now we take a trip to Atlanta, Georgia, the great state of Georgia in the US of A. And we have a new expert, our second expert. And actually, I found this one fairly interesting.
Oh, the artist.
So it was about baby growth and the resulting, changes in babies as they grow older. And it's about sort of how the growth actually occurs. So typically we think about babies' growth in terms of a curve. They have very gradual growth. Maybe they're growing a little bit each day. So what this woman did is that she went and measured babies every single day, the same babies every day, to measure exactly when their growth occurred. So I think they measured the circumference of the head and the length of the baby. And to sort of take a long story short, what she found out is that you can have quite substantial growth over a 24-hour period. So a baby could grow up to, I think, 1.8 centimeters in 24 hours.
1.6.
Was it 1.6?
Yeah. 8 centimeters would be ludicrous.
1.8. I said 1.8.
Oh, sorry, right. Yeah, 1.8. Yeah, 1.6. So 0.8 to 1.6 in 24 hours. And I found that mental.
Yeah, and then after that, maybe for a few days they didn't grow at all. And so it was some fairly...
It's like they grow only on a Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently you can link these very significant short-term growth spurts with resulting changes in behavior and mood. And, we've all had experiences of fairly young babies just becoming kind of nightmarish for a day or two. And perhaps these things are linked, was kind of what she was getting at.
If your infant's being a dick, measure their length.
Okay.
They're growing towards being a full-grown dick.
Now, in this period, we also meet a new baby. We meet baby Matteo. I remember I wrote down his parents have a lot of wine.
They did in the background, but very cute baby.
A lot of wine. He's a bit of a handful. He needs attention. I'm not sure why we met him. He just popped up for a little bit. I mean,
he was very cute.
Yeah, it was nice to meet him. Yeah. But I mean, it didn't really add anything. Then we go back to the expert. She publishes her research, and the scientific community was not happy, was the upshot. They didn't really go into a great deal of detail, but essentially the scientific community was used to the idea that baby growth happened on a curve, and when she suggested that might not be the case, then they were not happy with her. This happened many years ago. I think this was maybe 80s or 90s.
Well, one of the first records was 1981, wasn't it?
So are we to believe that she was the inventor of measuring on a daily basis?
I think that's the implication.
I think that's what she was saying. I don't know whether that's true.
Well, and she had the evidence as well. I mean, maybe other people did similar research. Yeah. Maybe they got different results. Who knows? I mean, it's hard because when you're looking at scientific research, we've all worked in a related industry, so we're probably not unfamiliar with the idea of clinical studies or this kind of stuff. Without knowing the full research methodology, it's hard to be able to give people a judgment on how accurate this kind of stuff is, but presumably the information's out there if you want to look at it.
She did make out like it was some kind of global scandal.
That
everyone was after her, lambasting.
Oh yeah, I mean, and to be fair, she did the work and she got those results and published them.
I think the biggest thing that she came out with, which I thought was really smart. Apparently, it takes 2 people to measure a baby, and I was kind of like, I think as a parent, you're like, well, no shit, Sherlock. Just like she came out with some of these gems where I'm just like, why are you saying this? I'm just like, it's common sense. I think she was making a lot of stuff bigger than it was in a way.
I don't think this person was. I think a lot of the other people were. I think a lot of other people were, but I think this woman was fairly on a level.
I disagree. I think there was it was just over talking things than I remember I went to see their family at 7 a.m. that day in 1981. I'm just like, well done. That you remember it was 7 a.m. Why do I need to know that? Like stuff like that. There's no need. She was trying to fill gaps that she didn't have, words for, basically.
It's like remembering you go to the Pizza Express.
Yeah. Yes, my friend. What do you want, boss?
So we're back with baby Pasco. And do you remember the dad did a rather dangerous looking maneuver?
I would have slapped them.
So essentially the baby stood in his hand and he held the baby in the air and tried to balance it so the baby would stand up. My heart was in my mouth.
Same as me. I can't agree with people people that throw their babies right up in the air. I'm just like, What are you doing?
Magnus looks scandalised right now. He does this. He does this. He did this.
Oh yeah, I do. And Quinn loves it, and her balance is sick because of it. She can't. I've not been able to get her to stand on my hand because she just sits down.
Because she
like,
fell about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. She does get.
Oh, it's so dangerous.
She gets hurt with me sometimes. Yeah, but like
you shouldn't admit this on a podcast.
No.
Social services.
I mean, lightly.
So far up your arse.
I know. I mean, lightly hurt with me. Like
seriously,
she'll
UK Boris. Get on him.
But she loves it. She runs up to me. She wants to be thrown about. You know.
Of course, they don't know danger. You do, you muppet.
You do make a point. I actually never thought of that before.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on. And then we have Pasco has some pushy grandparents. I don't know if you guys remember this, but they Skype with the grandparents back in Australia, and they're trying to tell the parents what to do. I think that's an experience we can all relate to some extent in terms of, grandparents. They mean well, but they aren't half pushy at times. So now we're in New York City with yet another expert, our third expert, and she is talking about, I think she started talking about plant growth, and then somehow that leads to a focus on baby development.
This is the artist come scientist.
Yeah. And then she talked about the people focusing on getting babies to crawl in straight lines, but people don't move in straight lines in the real world. And she built an adjustable slope experiment. So it's like a crawling path, and they can adjust the slope on the path to see how babies sort of adjust their movement to the steepness of the obstacle course. And
tough mudder for babies.
Yeah, tough mudder for babies. John does not look impressed. Just to tell you guys.
Do you remember when she was raising it up and down? It was like,
yeah.
That was kind of scary.
Baby was like, "Why are you fucking with me?"
Was on that.
Why are you fucking with me? I don't know why I'm French baby again.
Yeah, so the baby's crawling, along the ramp, and they increase or decrease the incline. They want to witness the baby's decision making in terms of their own mobility. So they sort of make the slope steeper, and they sort of watch how the babies react to that and whether they attempt to overcome the obstacle or whether they give up. And the slopes get very steep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They really do.
Yeah, it's a full 90-degree incline.
We see a baby trying it, and he's very overconfident about its own abilities. And they find that sometimes babies will just take the leap. So I think at one point it's a complete 90-degree angle, and the baby just goes for it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there's someone there to catch the baby, so we're not just watching babies face plant from a few feet in the air.
Does anyone else feel that this software should come pre-installed, like for real? Like it just fucking.
Well, the baby should know.
It should have some idea of that being dangerous, like some kind of vertical perception. But they don't.
They don't.
Everything is an exploration for them. Yeah. And they will just go for it.
Some people have the idea that we have evolved from reptiles. If we have, you spend a long time in an egg before you get to the outside world and you have an idea of what you're doing. I think as babies, they're still in the egg a little bit. They still don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think there's
an aspect to that I can relate to.
I don't think they're in an egg though, are they?
I know, but they are in an egg mental state where they don't quite understand their outside world. I still think they're quite protected and they don't know what they're doing. They'll develop and learn.
Well, they're born. I know we're going on a tangent here, but they're kind of born. Not ready. They're not fully cooked, are they?
Yeah, they're not fully cooked. That's the thing, is they develop over the first year or so.
Because otherwise there's no way they'd get out the human.
Yeah, this is the trade-off.
So they come out step out like mom pass a lighter.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's another baby that takes the obstacle course, and he's a more experienced crawler. So it's a female baby. She does better. She doesn't want to crawl down the steep slope, and she goes backwards to sort of get herself down.
Clever baby.
Yeah.
Girls are smarter than boys.
She's a winner. Then there's another baby that crawls on hands and feet like a bear. Which I thought was quite amusing. I've never seen a baby do that. And then we go back to Matteo briefly. We're back with Matteo, the baby John loves. He's crawling. And then we go back to the slope expert. She's saying that some babies start crawling and then stop crawling for a while, that it activates and then deactivates, which God knows if that's, how that works. But hey, that's maybe interesting to know. And she observes that some babies, crawling is variable, and all babies are different. No shit. And I think that really sums up this episode for me. I think any parent watching this show will be like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of this stuff, like the fact that babies from an early age, like if you hold them up and put their feet onto a surface, they'll almost try and walk. And, you put them on their tummy and they try and move. This is not rocket science. If you're a parent, you've seen this for yourself. And I couldn't help but come away from this particular episode thinking it was an hour of cod science.
Just this episode?
I mean, I think other ones, like the breast milk ones, there was really interesting stuff in the breast milk. Like, there was examples of there was differences in the amount of milk that came out if it was a boy or a girl. Yeah. And actual empirical data that you could base conclusions from. This, I didn't have the same response to it.
I think that with previous episodes, Matt, you were more open to the concept of that show. And now you're probably looking for more, and your method of viewing it is wrong. This isn't a show that you can think with. It's very, very, very pop science. It's pure entertainment. Yeah, it's quality entertainment. It's shot well. It's got appropriate music, but you're not going to learn much from it. I don't think I've learned much at all from any of the episodes.
Well, far less than I've learned from actually being a parent and living it myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's for me when I watch it, it's like a memory. It's a nice, cute memory of like, that's how Quinn was.
Hits the nostalgia.
Yeah, it's a nostalgia venture. But beyond that, nah.
John, any thoughts?
I called it homework last week. I'm going to call it homework if we continue. I'm really of the opinion that if you're a parent already, to be honest, you watch this if you're cynical like me. I'm from episode 1. I'm just like fucking common sense. Like I can figure out. Yes, maybe some things of data are interesting, but I just think some of the things just get on my nerves because it's just like, well, of course, like we think crawling is a little more. Of course, because they need to build muscles, you dickhead. Like, for fuck, like some of the things they were talking about, like, shut the fuck up. It's like the last one. Oh yeah, if a mother smokes, the baby doesn't learn. Of course, you're not meant to fucking smoke when you're fucking pregnant or near a baby, you fucking dickhead. There's no need to put it in a show. I just think it's just common sense shit. I mean, maybe some of the details are interesting, but for me, it's just growing on me on how much it pisses me off. It's good to, review it with you guys because at least I can just vent about it. Because when I'm watching it, I'm just looking on my iPad going, what a bunch of fucking crap. You guys got way too many episodes on Netflix, and you have to fill it in with fucking music and random babies that sometimes have nothing to do with the show.
Oh yeah, they have nothing to do with the show a lot of the time.
Some of them are like, Papa!
It's just like here's the baby's cute. There you go.
And I used to smoke a lot of weed in university, and then I decided to start looking at, Tough Mudder for Babies. I mean, some of these experts are not fucking experts. They're just like weird people with weird fetishes for random baby stuff. Like, it's just random. It's so random. It really is.
Okay, so I'm getting a negative vibe, and I think that means we should continue watching the show. If only because I want to subject John to more psychological torture.
Yeah, tonight you already subjected me to a lot of onions in a Big Mac.
Yeah,
and I think you're really starting to get on my tits, Matt. So,
Yes, victory. Yeah. So I think what we're going to do is the next 3 episodes, let's just carry on as segment episodes and power through the rest of this show, and do more product reviews and do more Am I Being Unreasonable? And let's get to the end of this show. Maybe when we get to episode 6, then we can make it sort of a double segment and give an overall review, and we'll try and make it maybe a slightly less incredulous and angry than maybe it made us today.
I'd like to announce my retirement from the podcast.
Thank fuck. Me and Mag, duo.
Indeed. Yeah, duo supreme.
We'll get more listeners, I'm sure. Okay, so that will wrap up this overview of Babies episode 3 on Netflix. I think it's fair to say we've picked some holes in this one, but it's not to say it's not worth watching. There's interesting stuff in there, especially if you just want to be nostalgic for when your baby was newborn, because it's definitely good for that. We're going to take another very brief break, and when we come back, we're going to do Am I Being Unreasonable? And then we're going to leave you to go about your day. So join us back here in just a moment. Thank you very much. Bye. Welcome back to the final segment of this episode of Overly Honest Dads. So a quick thing to say, during this episode you might have heard the following noise. Because we are drinking a very, very tasty drink that has come to us via John. John, why don't you explain What has happened?
So basically, quite simply, I've been using and we're not getting paid for this, by the way, but I've personally been using an app called Wine App in the UK, and it's really quite handy during lockdown. Because in London, they get you booze in 40 minutes. Basically, they deliver in zone 1 and 2 in London, they deliver booze within 40 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Right,
and if you're just outside zone 2, it takes 1 to 2 days for you to get the booze you order. And they have really neat, like, specialized gin and very, like, selected number of, like, good
and literally
bottles.
neat, I imagine.
Yeah, very neat. Yeah, neat on occasions. No, but really, really good bottles of wine. Me being Italian and having grown up with a vineyard on the back of my granddad's house, I kind of don't drink everything. I'm not very much a wine drinker because I overdrank when I was young. But when I do drink, I like to get certain stuff, and they actually have it, which I was quite surprised by. So, sort of been in touch with them, and they've, we've been drinking one of the vodka bottles that we've...
Marmalade vodka.
Marmalade vodka, and I think we're quite happy with it.
Yeah,
I
it's very
really
tasty.
enjoyed it, yeah.
Mixed with a bit of Sprite and ice, it's not a bad beverage. It goes down far too easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Although we're not nearly as loose as we were on our last episode.
Yeah, last episode we were quite drunk.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't, but yeah.
I was. I was very tipsy. Okay,
fine, guys.
so you have a code, don't you?
Yeah,
John?
so I just basically wanted to, if anyone's interested, if you download the Wine app and you
It's just called Wine App, isn't it?
Wine app, yeah, literally in the UK, and if you quote the code GL704, you get £10 off your first order. So if anyone's interested, feel free, download the app and get the discount.
Okay. Thank you, John. So now we're going to go on to Am I Being Unreasonable? So for anyone listening to this for the first time, Am I Being Unreasonable is a message board on Mumsnet. And what happens is people post up their issues and they want the denizens of Mumsnet to let them know whether they are being reasonable or not. And so we're going to run through some of these posts and we're going to give our overly honest opinion on whether or not they're being reasonable.
It's my favourite part of the show, Matthew.
Yeah, John loves this. So the first one is the title of the thread is Am I Being Unreasonable to go for a run at 5 a.m? The poster is called Dark Descent, and the post goes as follows. I've just returned from Spain, so have been told to quarantine. We're recording this at a time where the UK government imposed a quarantine on arrivals from Spain of 2 weeks. That came in over the weekend. I've just returned from Spain, so I've been told to quarantine. Would I be unreasonable to go for an early morning run when no one will be about?
Yes. Quarantine, respect the rules, you prick.
All very decisive from John there. Magnus, you don't look quite so clear-cut in your deliberations. You look puzzled.
Well, she's intelligent about it. I don't see the reason why she shouldn't. Yeah, I'm all for observing the quarantine rules and what scientists said is best practice. But if she's going to go at 5 a.m. and maybe she's going to run in the road or somewhere where there's just like
or
a
the
very,
pavement
very
and runs into someone, even if it's one person. I still am. Now that the cases are starting to rise, I'm not sure if people have been reading the news or looking at the data. Respect the rules, people, for a good fucking reason. Even if they seem harsh, respect the fucking rules. Because this week, announcements have come that in France, in Spain, cases are starting to rise. And we're getting towards winter, the cases will rise again. I don't want another lockdown. I don't want the economy to crash.
Yeah.
People, stay at fucking home when you're told to.
Someone called Regulus says, and this, dear reader, is why we're going to be fucked this winter. I think pretty much everyone replying says no, don't go out and do a run. I remember early on in lockdown there were people showing research that joggers in particular would spread an awful lot of virus.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, if you're outside, is it less likely it's going to...
Well, the droplets don't go any further than 1 to 2 meters.
But if
you
run
leave a trail
past
behind
people,
you.
leave a trail behind
a trail.
But it still drops. It still falls via gravity. It doesn't
But not
stay up.
instantaneous, is it? It takes a little bit.
Yeah, no, you are right. So if there was someone, maybe.
So to be honest, I can tell you this morning, I got up, went to the gym, left at 5:10 in my house in my car. There was a lot of people on the pavements in London, either waiting for buses or walking towards bus stops or going to work, whatever it may be. Just there's no need to just stop being so selfish. I'm not saying Putin is right where he says you go to prison if you go out and you don't respect quarantine, but it looks like people can't be treated as grown-ups. It's just a simple rule. It's going to be a difficult year for everybody. Let's not make it a difficult 2 years. Respect the fucking rules. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Exactly. So let's move on. The next one, the thread title is Am I Being Unreasonable to ask for more money from DP? That's dear partner. In mum's net language. So DP means partner. John is being very mature right now.
Very vulgar.
I haven't said anything.
Yeah,
the post,
you didn't need to say anything.
Yeah, it was the actions that you were doing that are
And
what was that?
Yeah, how do you do that? How does that work?
Jesus.
How does that mechanically work?
Oh my god!
Come to one of my infusion days, mate.
Yeah, the poster is called "What the Hey," and she gives us some backstory. So DP moved in with me and my child a year ago, or did my children a year ago. He was renting a flat for £500 per month before this. We spoke about him moving in, and he said he'd pay me the £500 rent. I agreed at the time. But now I feel resentful and I don't know if I'm being unreasonable. I own my house and the mortgage is relatively small. I have 4 children and obviously don't expect him to support them. I lost around £800 per month in tax credits when he moved in, as I was no longer eligible. We are both self-employed. I pay all the household bills, buy the food, cook the food, do the laundry, housework, childcare, etc. My monthly bills, including utilities, mortgage, Sky, etc., are £1,500. He does the dishwasher most nights and moans about the kids not helping around the house. If I asked him to hoover, he would, and he does any DIY that needs doing or fixes stuff when it breaks. He buys occasional shopping /wine /takeaway /meals out. He paid for some wood, around £300, for a project in the garden, and spent a few days making it recently. In brackets, I paid £2,000 for the rest of the project to be finished by a professional. That's throwing some shade there. I know it's not his house and they're not his children, but I feel like he's getting a really good deal for £500 a month. He paid that in rent, but then paid food, utilities, council tax, etc. on top of that before he moved in. I'm 20 weeks pregnant with his baby and my costs are going to go up. We have had a few conversations where I said I'm supporting him, but he maintains he pays his wage /contributes. Am I being unreasonable to ask for more? Magnus, I can tell you're desperate to say something.
Deadbeat partner.
Deadbeat fucking partner. That's incredible.
How the fuck did you get away with this, man? That's incredible.
She's 20 weeks pregnant with this person that she can't breach this boundary with. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You should be able to. You should look. Any relationship, and this is to everyone. Any relationship should have financial transparency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 50-50.
50. Yeah,
much as possible.
As much as possible within reason, right? It should be equal to you. However you choose for that to be equal is up to you, but it should be equal where you both feel like you're contributing fairly. If that's 50-50, if that's 10-90, whatever it is, it needs to be fair. In this relationship here, it's fucked. It's not, and she should. I think this is other problems going on here. If she can't have that conversation, then
how many kids has she got?
4, I think.
Damn.
Yeah, 4 children.
Sounds like someone that makes bad decisions.
Presumably she's getting payments from someone or other.
That was harsh. I take that back.
Okay. Yeah, so I think so John, do you have any thoughts?
Just deadbeat partner.
Yeah,
I think it's absolute dick, really.
It seems like he's just trying to get away with it.
Yeah.
So let's read some of the responses. So Backed Queen says, well, of course you are not being unreasonable. His expenses and disposable income went up when he moved in and yours went down. Why isn't he contributing to food, at least from the beginning? How do you both intend to fund your maternity leave, or does he see that as your problem? Tokyo Sushi says, if he wants to be part of the family, he needs to pay his way. Basically half of everything, which is what we've just said. I assume your baby is his. Yeah, she said that, Tokyo Sushi. Keep up. What's he going to do when they are born? Just pay for half of their food and nothing else? He needs to grow up. I think we're all in agreement there.
Yeah. Amen.
So let's go on to the next one. So yeah, this is actually one that I picked because this happened to me fairly recently. So the poster's name is What Name to Choose 85, and the thread is titled Man Sitting Outside of My House. Hello, this is not so much for Am I Being Unreasonable, but more of what you would do in this situation. So this morning at roughly 7:30, a car pulled up outside my house, which is nothing unusual in itself as I live on quite a busy street where there is lots of on-street parking. Not many houses have driveways, so residents park wherever they can. At that time of the morning, there were quite a few empty spaces along the street, one being in front of our home. A man was sitting inside his car and looked like he was texting on his phone. I didn't think anything of it. I went to work at 8:30, returned for lunch to let the dogs out, and the car is still there, with the man sitting with his phone in his hand as before. Went back to work and just returned to see he's still there. I've never seen him or the car before. He's not a resident on the street as far as I know. I've lived here for 14 years and recognise the neighbours and their cars. I initially just brushed it off as he may be waiting for someone or maybe a relative or neighbour or something like that, but as time has gone on, I'm feeling a bit uneasy about it. He's not harming anyone, seems to be minding his own business, but I can't help but feel it's a bit odd. He's obviously seen me leave and return, so has known when my house was empty. I think this is what has made me feel a bit creeped out. I'm probably overreacting, but what do you think?
Was he there for 40 minutes, you said?
No, well, it seems like he's been there for many hours.
Okay.
Because she's gone out in the morning, come back at lunchtime to let the dogs out, gone back to work, and then come back again. So it's like most of a daytime.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But is he there the next? Yeah, it is weird.
It is strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it is strange, but it's not like cause for much alarm. Is he there the next day?
It doesn't go on to say. It doesn't go on to say. But one reason I brought this up is because since we moved into this house a year ago, we get a lot of this on this street, and I think it's because our street goes quite far back from the main road, and people can park in here and just kind of chill out. And there's no parking costs. People can just like sit in their car for a long time, and we get an awful lot of it opposite our house, pre-lockdown mostly. And yeah, it's a bit strange when you have someone sitting outside your house for hours at a time in a car. It's a bit weird. But what would you do in this situation? Would you be tempted to do anything?
No.
I think, this is something that is a bit weird. It's probably not going to make you feel very easy to have someone sitting outside your house for a while, but in more cases than not, it's probably entirely innocuous. There's probably just someone hiding. They're probably pretending to be at work when actually they've been let go or something. So I think there's probably quite a straightforward explanation for why someone is just sitting on the street in a car for a long period of time. So let's move on to the next Am I Being Unreasonable? This one is about phone usage. The poster is called Shiny Green Elephant, and the subject line is 11-year-old and her phone. So this is going to be more relevant to John, because does Christopher have a phone yet?
No.
When's he going to get one?
Probably secondary school.
Okay, so around 11 years old. Oh, apologies.
Brought your guitar.
Yeah, brought my guitar. So Shiny Green Elephant says, I'm absolutely furious. I went and I want some opinions on whether I'm overreacting, as I'm pregnant and hormonal, and my husband doesn't seem overly concerned. My 11-year-old had a friend stay over last night. She has a 3-hour limit on her phone over the day, and it switches off from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. But I extended this to midnight last night as a friend doesn't have a limit, and I knew they would want to use their phones. Woke up this morning to a security alert at 3 a.m. that she had changed my Apple password in order to take all limits off her phone. That means she could have spent a fortune on my card, accessed inappropriate content, etc. She didn't. She just sat on YouTube for an hour, but that's not the point. I'm furious. I've taken her phone and said she can earn it back in a week by showing me she can be mature, extra chores, no whining for it, good attitude, etc. When she gets it back, her screen time will be reduced to 1 hour, which she can slowly build back up. Is this fair, or am I overreacting? They're all obsessed with their phones, so I know it's going to seem like the end of the world.
The naivety of that parent, incredible.
I think the Führer agrees with your methods.
If you as a parent
think that works, you're an absolute dick.
You're a fucking idiot. You really are. She's a fucking idiot. If she really thinks that her child that was born of the internet and technology is not going to be able to figure out a simple method of bypassing that, she's got something else coming.
I can tell you that already with the iPads that I've given out to the kids, the Amazon Fire Pads that I've given out to the kids, we haven't put a limit on it, because the moment you put a limit, it's something they want to complain and argue about.
And also figure out how to get around.
It's just, I encourage other things.
Yeah.
I encourage us playing Uno. I encourage us so that we can, guys, have you played together? And no, we haven't. But you spend an hour playing together, it would be good. It's a different approach, because it's not the fascist approach of do this, do that.
Yeah.
And I know, because on my skin, it didn't fucking work, did it? When I was got told, you shouldn't watch The Simpsons because it's bad for you. don't like
Yeah,
seriously.
yeah.
Stuff like that. It's just,
So-
she's just so naive, such a dick of a parent.
Years
Oh,
and years
gradually
ago.
you can have it back, and only if you don't moan. And she's going to go and blow cock in 2 minutes. Like if you keep
Yeah.
going down that,
She's
like
an
literally,
idiot.
the moment you have the opportunity to break the rule badly and not get caught, you're going to do it. That's what I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
I started doing smoking weed, even if I didn't like it, because it was breaking a rule and I was getting away with it. Like literally, just because it was the thing that absolutely I shouldn't have done. And that is literally what happens when you try and force a kid down that sort of route.
Okay, so
Yeah.
fairly unanimous from the Overly Honest Dads here.
Can I just say a quick story, because this is bringing up some memories. Years and years ago, when we had the Windows XP computer, with like
Dun 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 dun.
yeah, it was, yes, yeah, it was. This is a long time ago. I must have been like 12. My mum put a password on it, and because maybe I was naughty or something, and I used the XP install disk to force a recovery, right? Or a reinstall, and from the reinstall you could go in to read the terms and conditions, and if I remember correctly, you could go and save the terms and conditions, and it would pop up with a window to provide an area to save the terms and conditions or something like that. And through that, you would navigate to the Windows 32 folder. Or I can't remember exactly where it was.
It was the Windows 32 folder.
Yeah,
you're
and
right,
then you could find the password, and then you would just open the password in the Notepad document, change it, or erase it, and then that's
or
how
just
you would
copy
bypass
it and just use it to get in.
Yeah. I bypassed it, and it was like these little things. I figured out a method of
You're
getting
so
around.
smart when you're a kid. You find
You are.
ways to beat the system.
Well, and
You
also,
always do.
you have so little to do in your life that you can spend time on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
As an
Yeah.
adult, you've got so many things to do that spending
couldn't
like
do
an
that
hour
now.
or two trying to crack something seems like, a bad use of time.
It does, yeah.
And so, yeah.
So I made a recent mistake on giving my boy Minecraft, not giving him Minecraft per se, but it basically came up with a pop-up saying, "Oh, do you want to limit multiplayer for, a certain age and under?" And I thought, okay. And now I'm like, why did I do that? Because now I'm trying to, release multiplayer to him, and I can't figure out to fucking do it. And he needs multiplayer to do a bunch of stuff that he needs. And I appreciate where he's coming from. Like, why did I do it in the first place? I'm such an idiot. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get onto parental controls probably as Magnus and I's daughters get a bit older, and that becomes more of an issue. I think
we can't talk about it before because there's no other kids involved.
Well, also you'd be the only one talking, and I think we all agree that would be a bad idea.
No, but I like your opinions. If we discuss a subject, it's a group discussion, even if it's about my kids.
Okay, well, I'll bear that in mind, John. I'll bear that in mind. No promises, though. So let's go to the last Am I Being Unreasonable for today's episode. The poster is called Cleaning, Cleavage, Cringe. That's cleaning, cleavage, cringe. Bit of a mouthful in more ways than one. And the subject line is, Am I being unreasonable to clean with boobs out? So, got up after a night shift yesterday and cracked on with some cleaning, which I think is impressive in itself. Didn't see the point in getting dressed only to get all sweaty, so kept my pyjamas on, which for me is pyjama bottoms and a strap top. Anyway, day off today, and had a note through the door saying, can you please dress more appropriately for activities like cleaning? My husband and I were uncomfortable with your display yesterday. Now, admittedly, I am very well endowed in the boob area. 100% not a stealth boast, they literally get on my tits, and I'm hoping to have a reduction once we've finished having kids. And the girls did pop out a few times. It wasn't a supportive or concealing top, as it's been retired from my wardrobe and relegated to the pyjama drawer. I'm absolutely mortified and want to find a way to apologise, but the note was anonymous. Dear husband fell about laughing and said that I've every right to dress how I wish in my own home.
Good. Yes.
And if they don't like looking at me, they have every right to look away.
You know what happened in the other couple?
Thing is,
you know exactly what happened.
Thing is, though, I'm now thinking about all the times I wandered around naked after a shower, waiting for cream to soak in or fake tan to dry. I've never thought twice about it. The shame, the deep, deep shame.
She shouldn't be shamed.
Our next door neighbour, he likes to walk about naked.
But the old Zozisha.
We're in the kitchen and we see him. Romana sees him, and he has every right.
It's his house.
He has a couple. He's part of a couple. Like it's mind your own fucking business. And you know what happened? The husband got a boner, and she was pissed because she was this chick that he was looking at was probably virile, and she's not. So,
he's probably knocking one out, and the wife caught him and it put a note through the other neighbour's door. If you're in your own house, why are you looking through people's windows? And if you look accidentally, guess what you do? You look away.
Exactly.
And you ignore that it happened.
Close the windows, look away, ignore whatever. Or just deal with the situation. Because it happens. She's in her goddamn birthday suit. That's all I can say. She's in her birthday suit. Mind your own fucking business.
Amen.
So, in response, a Mumsnet member called Jizz Pigeon 22 said, "Nah, fuck 'em. You wear what you like in your own home."
Send us some pictures. That's what it sounds like. It's about to carry on with.
Fudge Brownie 2019 says, "Ridiculous." John just struggled with his drink there. "Ridiculous. Whoever wrote that note is clearly looking a little too long and hard through your windows."
Hard through the window.
Yep. So, yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. If you want to whap the girls out in your own home, why not? Do what you need to do. And if you want to get your little man out when you're wandering around the home, why not? As long as you're not doing anything inappropriate, then what's the problem?
If you're whacking one out looking at your neighbour through their window, don't get caught by your wife. That's the other lesson in the story.
Jesus, that's nothing to do with what
That's literally what it sounds like. It sounds like the other guy, the other couple, where she said, "Oh, me and my husband saw you walking around naked." No, you probably caught your husband looking at her naked in her own house, and you're complaining.
Who knows? Who knows? But one thing I do know is this is the end of this episode. So this is the end of episode 18
Seagulls.
Of Overly Honest Dads. That was a very neat transition, my neatest transition ever, I believe. And so we're going to leave you to get about whatever you're doing. But thank you so much for joining us. We always appreciate when anyone decides to let us come into their ears. And so just a little bit of housekeeping. We are available to communicate with via an email address. The email address is overlyhonestdads@gmail.com. That's overlyhonestdads@gmail.com.
I'm not responding to these people. Are you going to do it, Matt?
No, I think John will. John really.
I can't get on the thing because it's got your mobile number on it. I can't get on the email, so people might have emailed us and we haven't read.
We are not a professional operation. We need to sort this out.
The Instagram page works properly because someone looks after it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have an Instagram page that John looks after. He posts generally fairly underwhelming memes, but he tries.
I think they call them normie memes, but I think the average man finds it funniest. These two fuckers are like Sheldon out of Big Bang, and they think
you are quite the normie, but we do.
We love you.
We love you.
We love you
much.
Anyway, even
Nobody
though.
likes Sheldon.
I mean, another phrase would be basic bitch. I think that applies. We also have a Twitter account which is inactive, but you can go there and look at our logo if you want to. So get in touch if you would like. We would love to hear from you. And so all that's left is for me to thank Magnus.
My pleasure.
And John.
Thank you.
I'm Matt, and it's been a pleasure to host you guys for another podcast. We'll be back next week with more of this guff. Until then, have a great time. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.